Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the TCC meetup. We were just waiting for a couple more people to join, and we will start the session right now. So I welcome both our speakers for today, Hatim and Pritesh. Both of them have a mix of media and business background, and Pritesh had a short stint in Your Story before they started Talent, which is a platform and network for experienced freelancers, and they help freelancers and business find the right fit for each other. And they have a network of more than I think 1,000 plus freelancers, and till date, since the past 5 years, they have managed to complete more than 10,000 projects. And they work in a wide range of industries, not very specific to one or two kinds of industry. So I think what differentiates them from the other platforms that we have today is the they try to bring in trust and the human touch, which is currently lacking in other platforms. So, welcome, Pritesh and Hatim. Thank you for joining us. We'd love to hear what you have to share with all of us today. And tell us a little about how you started Talent, why you felt the need for it, and how it's different from the other platforms that we have today.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Bhumika, for that kind introduction. Really appreciate Pritesh. I think so. I will leave it on to you to give more. I think so. Bhumika was not on the point explaining about the portal. So I think so. Pritesh would do justice to talking about talent. So
Yeah,
I'll leave it on.
of course. First of all, thanks a lot, Bhumika, Harshada, and the entire uh, Content Collective community to invite us over. I hope you guys are having a lovely time. It's Saturday, and we are here for some productive session. Let's. So let me start off by introducing us, okay? Because that's where we ventured out into freelancing. So Hatim and I were roommates during our MBA days in Bangalore. So he comes from a business background, and I from the defense. Uh, we both graduated from Symbiosis with specialization in advertising. So we had been having a very close eye, quite honestly, at the freelancing space since third semester. I mean, we used to talk a lot about how this industry is going to evolve. What is Upwork doing? What is freelancer.com doing? Where's the gap? How can we crack the freelancer code in the Indian market? So these are the kind of discussions we used to have. And soon this keen interest sort of transitioned into fascination. And then, I mean, to such a level that we decided to venture into this business. So I used to work for a media platform called Your Story. I'm sure you'll be aware if you're from the startup community. That was a short tenure. That is for a short tenure. But uh, then I suddenly come across. I mean, I had come across a call from Hatim saying that I think we are confident we are on the right track. Why don't we start this? So that's where you know talent started. Uh, Back then, it was named as Crescent. So we had rebranded Crescent into Talent last year itself. So let me introduce Talent to you here. Okay, so we are a work fulfillment agency that helps businesses to get things done faster, smarter, and better with our exclusive community of industry's finest freelance professionals vetted by our domain experts. So, unlike marketplaces, we operate like a urban company or urban lab, right? Where you find only vetted professionals with dedicated servicing team. As in, if a business comes to me, I will service that business throughout the project with the help of my domain expert, it be photography, content, design, and we have the talent community, right? So we are a work fulfillment marketplace, agency. So our vision, so that I always tell, when I talk about this sector, it is very important to understand what the company is trying to do, because Upwork has gone to such a level where they are just merely acting as marketplace. Right? Fiverr has a different positioning strategy, but there are very few companies who are actually growing with the community. And our vision is to empower freelancers to grow at all levels and create a powerhouse for the world. So that is our vision. So at all levels, mean to say not just about project, it's also about educating them on various aspects of freelancing, upskilling them, ensuring they have good infrastructure to sort of start off this journey. So this is where we intend to go in the future. So that is about talent. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So when you started off, I think more than 5 years, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was a very different freelancing landscape than what you have today. So
Correct.
can you share like the way it has evolved from then, before the pre-pandemic era and during the pandemic, and now how the can you share some data or insights on how
See, back that 5.5 to 6 years down the line, what we have experienced or noticed is that this sector was still at a nascent stage, and people were adapting to freelancing not because of choice, but because of fad. Maybe it could be any motivation factor, but it was definitely very few segment of the freelancing community were there in that profession because of choice, but not because they had to do it, right? So this has definitely changed. As in, and the numbers. If I talk about numbers, India has had uh, 6 years back about 8 to 9 million white collar freelancers working across platforms like Upwork, freelancing.com. And
okay.
what we've noticed is this powerhouse of talent was servicing the Western counterparts, as in like the American market or the Middle East market, right, or the European market. They hire Indian freelancers because cheap labor, to be honest, and good specialization. I mean, if we talk about IT, yes, we are the number one. If we talk about design, yes, we are there with the Europeans. But it definitely cost comes to a factor at a certain level. Uh, Now, in terms of uh, number of Indian businesses uh, involving freelancers to their projects were definitely down back then. As in, there were a lot of gaps in terms of, because of industry is fragmented, right? I mean, if you're a freelancer, either you have dependency on your network, a very close network, so they trust you. Once they trust you, that means you have some kind of business rolling in for a couple of months, right? But this has changed. Marketplace, and we have had a lot of businesses who have adapted the marketplace model. But soon after that, they realized that this is not going to work in India. If you are, because you have to have the Indian market into context, because it's a big market, it's a gigantic market. So if I were to say that Indians contribute approximately 35 to 40% of the freelancing industry, and we are talking about billions here, right? We are talking
Yeah.
about like over close in about 35 to $40 billion market, where Indians are actually contributing be it white collar or blue collar, right, to the world. So how do you eat that chunk? You need to understand the ground level, uh, changes when it comes to the Indian market. So Indian businesses were really hesitant to sort of go and have freelancers for professional projects. So that's where we felt the gap. That's where Talent came in. That's where Crescent came in, where we understood that there's a big gap in the B2B industry where businesses like Ola or Uber, they're looking for services, but they are not able to find the right talent for that. It's not just about discovery, but how do you ensure that that project which is being catered, right, is going to go about as per their satisfaction. So that's where we adapted the model where project management comes into play, right? So this industry has evolved a lot. And post-pandemic, if I were to talk about numbers, uh, Indians are close in about 20 to 25 million Indian freelancers are working currently as freelancers, right? And
Okay,
this has
that's a yeah.
this was evolved. And after pandemic, we are seeing 20-25% year-on-year growth in terms of the market coverage, right? And a lot of companies have evolved. Indian companies have evolved. Upwork has evolved post-pandemic. They are now focusing on quality because like 4.5 million people are on Fiverr. How do you ensure that all these freelancers are getting the right kind of opportunity, and how to ensure that business is coming in terms of adapting to your services, right? So they have evolved into a model where uh, they are focusing on niche. It's like Fiverr has an entire community of curated professionals only for animation experts. Now they've understood that post-pandemic, businesses are very cost sensitive. That is point number one. You go anywhere in the market, cost will definitely come into picture, and quality, of course. Quality has to be top notch, right? So cost effective and quality and servicing. So that's where marketplace model doesn't work, right? But it works on a mass scale. But how do you ensure that there is consistency? So over the years, these things have actually changed, and there's a lot of infrastructure that is coming in. There are a lot of tools that have started rolling in
To standardize and help
Yes,
the
yes.
freelancing.
Yeah.
Correct.
So there's Mailchimp, there is Asana, there are a lot of project manager tools, there are QuickBooks to handle your accounts.
Yeah.
So people have started to realize that this is where the market is going to go, and infrastructure will definitely come into play if this market were to evolve.
Correct. Like I'd like to ask the audience here to just let us know what. So we're assuming you're all freelancers or want to get into freelancers. That's why you're in this session. So we'll run a quick poll and just let us know how many years have you been into freelancing, and also let us know which field you're freelancing in. Just quickly put your industry in the chat so that we know you're this kind of freelancer. So we have most of them from like a beginning freelancing. And are you all from content or are you from different backgrounds? Just put that in the chat as well. Consulting, operations, and supply chain. Instructional design, okay. And even if you haven't, like, I saw a couple that said that you're yet to start, so you can just let us know which industry you're planning to join when you freelance. So yeah, we have a mix of people from different background and also different like across the freelancing journey. We have beginners, we have people who are 2 or 5 years into freelancing. So let's start with the basics now. How so someone who's starting freelancing, how do they go about it? So we have no idea how to freelance. So how do we like start up? What's the first step? What are the some of the maybe checklists or anything that you need to have other than skills?
All right, Pritesh, let me just
Yeah.
take this up. Okay. See now, Bhumika, I understand. First of all, sorry guys, I cannot have my video on. I'm not in a situation. I had some family emergency, and because this was a commitment made, so I had to join it at the last moment. So sorry for that.
No problem. Thank
Coming
you
back,
for joining.
definitely, definitely. Coming back to the question that Bhumika has just asked. See now, what has happened is, of course, after pandemic, uh, there's this new wave that has come up in the market of being a self entrepreneur. Okay, now this can also be because of the layoffs that happened and that are currently happening because of the stoppage in the fundings that is coming to the startup industry. Also the new Pritesh, just help me. What is that? The new resume? No, resignation letter. The Great Resignation. What is that term that's just come into a picture?
Yeah,
I think
the great
great
resignation.
The
resignation.
Great, yeah. The Great Resignation. So basically, point I have to make is people have started fancying freelancing or being their own entrepreneur post lockdown, and this has made them not realize what what somebody needs to have when they want to opt being a freelancer. Okay, first and foremost, okay, understand what your expertise is, in which industry you are. Okay, and see whether you possess enough skills in that particular sector or not. You might say you have wonderful skills, you have gotten like 7, 10, 8, 12 years of experience in the industry. Wonderful. Second question I feel you should ask yourself is there demand of your service in that particular field, especially being as a freelancer? Okay. I remember when we started as freelancing, 3D and animation was something, that a company wanted an agency to take care of it. They were not at all comfortable giving out to an independent freelancer. Okay. So back then, if somebody thought of start being an freelancing into an animation or 3D modeling, it was difficult for them. Okay. Now we've seen the uh, trend where agencies are the companies are, or the startups or the corporates are now appreciating freelancers to take up those tasks as well. So second thing that I want you guys to answer to yourself is whether the skills that you possess have demand in the market. Third and foremost, what I feel is most important thing is skill. Okay, fair enough, you have the skills. The skill also has the potential in the market, but being a self entrepreneur or being a freelancer, it's not just about knowing skills. Okay, it's about how you manage your clients, how you get your clients. Do you have that sales preposition in you? Okay, do you have those accountings? Do you know the finances? Are you do you know how to budget yourself, how to price yourself? These are multiple questions that one should answer before taking freelancing up. So it's not just about skills, it's not just about having the demand in the market. It's also knowing there are 10 other different things also. You might not know. Okay, there are a lot of Bhumika, I'm just diverting this topic, okay, towards how a person would want to price himself. Okay, because this is like a first very important part whenever anybody starts freelancing. Okay, anybody would have a question on saying, okay, fine, I have a freelancer, I've all answered all the questions, and now I am fit to go get into the market and be a freelancer. How would you price yourself? That is also a very important term. Okay, that you need to address yourself. Okay. I'm sorry. basic, everybody tells him and I will charge on per hour basis. That's the hourly basis is not true for every sector or probably for everybody. Okay, somebody would do an XYZ amount of work in shortest period of time because his experience of years of experience, and somebody would take relatively higher time for that same kind of work because of his lack of experience. How are you going to price? What are the factors that you have to consider? Okay, like freelancing, you would have many other expenses, smallest the smallest stationary expenses, your operating expenses. You have to get all those things accountable. Okay, is to what is your basic necessity. Okay, so the kind of lifestyle that you live, what is the amount that you would need, plus how much time you're going to invest. What we have seen is a normal freelancer spends 60 to 70% of his or her time finding a client and 30 to 40 odd percent only working for that client. So what about how are you going to address to those 60-70% of your time that you have spent in finding one particular client? So a lot of things are there when you start up, when you start getting into freelancing. Just don't think that everybody is getting into freelancing, so let me also get into freelancing. Like the same thing that's happening in the startup. Everybody's getting into startup. Okay, everybody wants to start a startup, but are you fit, are you capable and willing to do it? So that's these are a few questions that you should be very keen on answering before you start freelancing. Of course, I am not trying to demotivate anybody here. I'm just trying to open up the vision of of anybody who wants to start freelancing. Yeah, so Bhumika, I think so, more or less what kind of expertise and what a person needs to do before he starts freelancing is, I think so, these are few points that of course they should consider.
Yeah, skills, business skills, the expertise in their area, and also a general idea of how the industry market landscape is.
Yeah, and don't forget
So
the
you
financing
you
part.
mentioned, sorry.
Don't forget the finance part.
Yeah. That's where I clubbed it into business
Sure.
skills, sales and finance. So you mentioned how fit you should consider how fit you are to be in the freelance world. So what? So I'd like to ask this here. So you work with a lot of clients, right? So you might have heard them speak about certain, like, why are certain freelancers considered good? Why do clients go back to them? So what are the top 3 or 4 qualities that clients look for in a freelancer, they prefer in a freelancer?
So, Hatim, let me take this up. That's a very good question. See, we have worked with close in about 200 plus enterprises and startups. The first thing that comes to their mind is specialization. Whether you are specialized or skilled enough to meet their expectation. Now, think of you as a service provider. You're just like a vendor to them. Okay. If I'm just going to give an example of, let's say, a designer. Like we recently closed a design project where we had to design an illustration library which will be used across various platforms. Now, first and foremost thing that the client demanded, whether the designer has had experience of designing illustration library. Okay. So if you were to fit that expectation, you had to have illustration knowledge. Like you had to have experience designing illustrations for various number of clients. That is specialization. Second most important thing is market knowledge. This startup happens to come from a fashion background. They are into fashion. They sell fashion products globally, right? Now the designer fortunately passed out from a leading a premier fashion institute. That's how she started off her designing career, right? Now, market knowledge is very important in terms of understanding the nuances Like fashion industry is very particular about nuances, right? If a designer, if I generalize the designer, right? If a designer has worked only on FMCG, that designer may not have been the right fit for this client of mine, right? Because you need to understand fashion. You need to understand how this fashion industry works. What are the drawbacks? What are the gaps in the industry? How do we sort of visually appeal to the customers, right? So you need to understand the industry in and out. For that, you need to read and passionately driven towards that industry. So finding that is very important, right? And third most important thing is etiquette and discipline. Every client, if you are into B2B, mind my words, no matter how big a freelancer you become, no matter how much you earn, unless until you earn your reputation, that will come through etiquette and discipline, you are not going to be respected in the industry. At the end of the day, it's all about respect. It's all about attaining that self-esteem. Unless you have that discipline, you bring that discipline not just in terms of communication, but also in terms of your entire process. How do you operate? These are very important things which a client feels satisfied to. As in, they really feel talk about. They really come closer to you. That's what we have experienced. They would definitely come to you, seek for certain suggestions, which may be out of the scope. Do that. Go out of the scope at times. So these are the very important attributes that a client seeks. Any client would seek.
Okay, okay. We have one question by Shiba. She's asking if there are any compliances we need to follow for GST or anything as freelancers.
That's a lovely question. Hatim, while you
Yeah.
take
So I read Shiba having two questions here. We are addressing to the second question, okay, wherein she has a question for the compliance and GST. Okay, so GST happens to be mandatory, okay, for anybody whose turnover crosses once a year, okay, annually. Okay. Now we have to understand there are two types of GSTs. One is a regular and one is a composite. Okay. Now in composite GST, okay, you are not allowed, you do not have a permission to collect 18% GST from the client. Okay. Whereas a regular GST, you have to collect 18% GST, but this all depends on your annual turnover. Okay. More than GST, the thing that you will have to be very remembered about is the TDS. Okay, so whenever you do a project that exceeds over 30,000, okay, any project value that exceeds over 30,000, or from a particular company, you do multiple projects, okay, and that multiple projects exceeds over 30,000 per annum, okay, a company is liable to deduct 10% of TDS. Okay. Now TDS is nothing but tax deducted at source. Okay, when you do your ITR, you get to claim that tax back to you. Okay, so yes, if your turnover crosses about once a year, okay, it's mandatory for you to have GST. Even though, see, there are a lot of companies whom you work with demand for registration. I'm sorry. Now, it particularly depends on you whether you want to opt for a GST or not, even though you do not fall into that minimum range bracket. Okay, I would always recommend you to work 6 months, understand what your target clients are, and whether they demand for a GST registered vendor with them or not. If you find that you are coming across vendors, okay, who are demanding for you to have GST, then opt for it, because GST in itself takes a lot of your time. You have multiple returns to file. You will have to make sure you do not cross the deadlines. Every monthly deadlines are there. So yeah, there is GST, there's TDS, there are these compliance that you have to make sure you adhere to.
So Hatim, is it something specific to freelancers, or is it just that every business has to follow? Or is
Any
it
service,
like, is there a...
any person that gives service has to have. Also, there's one more thing
Oh,
that is into a close discussion, is having a shop and establishment license. That's commonly known as shop act. Okay, now only when you have a shop act, you are eligible to open a current account. Okay, now there is a close discussion happening wherein currently it's not mandatory for any freelancer to have a shop and establishment license. Okay, but there is a close discussion happening wherein this also might become a compulsion. So then you will have to first have your shop and establishment license, a license that a government gives, where you can start doing any kind of a business, monetary transactions. Yeah, so for anybody who's giving service, it's mandatory.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful insight. Thank you for asking that question, Shiva. I'll go back to the previous discussion that we're having. So so you've begun you've got your first client. Now, how do you move from one client to, keep the clients coming? That's also a question that Shiva asked. How do you ensure the steady flow of projects or clients?
Okay, Pritesh, do you want to take it up or shall I answer this?
Yeah, I can take it up. No problem.
Sure.
See, this is primarily the most asked questions when you are transition into this profession, and it usually happens when you are in the introduction to growth stage. By introduction, I mean to say you just started off as a freelancer, you've won one or two clients, and then suddenly there's a block, right? So most importantly, that block is necessary, I would say. So in the sense, once you have worked for a couple of clients for the first time, I'm only talking about people who have just started off and suddenly there is a blockage of client and you have nothing to do. You have nowhere to go in terms of how do you get more clients, right? So this is a very educational sort of experience where you would understand, you have to understand what sort of client base you want to target. It all comes from the goal. What are you trying to achieve? You have to have a goal first. Until unless you have a goal, these things will come into place, right? Now, if you are into contents business, right? If you're a technical content business, right? Say, like fintech, like finance sector has the most technical writers, freelance technical writers onboarded, right? Now, suddenly you work for an XYZ account and uh, you do not know where to go. That's where platforms like LinkedIn, platforms like Upwork, platforms like Talent, you need to explore the market. You need to understand the market in and out, right? So here, that gap, that period of gap is important for the freelancing journey. That's what I feel. That's what my opinion is. Because here you'd understand that where is the competition? What are you trying to build something which is in sync with your goal, right? Now, where are you lagging? Is it the quality that is being addressed, or it is something else? So
So it requires a lot of introspection at
yeah,
that stage.
yeah, there is a lot of introspection and there will be a lot of calculation that you need to do. This is point number one, which is good. You need to take that at a very you know at a positive spirit, right? Second most important thing is identify platforms. By platforms, I don't mean to say you need to go to just Upwork. Explore platforms. Explore LinkedIn. Why? If you are on LinkedIn, if you see that it's a B2B market, it's a potential B2B market, you need to come to LinkedIn, spend at least 2 to 3 hours. Talk about what you are into. Build your voice. If you are into technical writing, if you're passionately driven towards finance, talk about finance. People are going to notice you. People are going to talk about it. Build your community. That's where community building and personal branding comes into play. It is the thing in the market, especially after COVID. People are getting a lot of business just by being active on LinkedIn for 3 to 4 hours. Just create a process of, uh, uh, you know, create a process of sort of being conversational when it comes to sharing your thoughts. Be open to your market. By market, you mean to say your peer freelancers or your potential clients, right? And third most important thing is when you are converting your first client, okay, ensure that it is not transactional. It is you are building a relationship there, right? So here, whenever your top five, your first 5 to 6 clients are going to be your institution. They are going to teach you as to how you, where first of all, whether you're capable enough to go to take this leap, and most importantly, they will teach you the market, what the market basically is going to be offering you after 2 to 3 years, right? So these are the three important things that I feel should be addressed if you are into this profession.
Okay, okay. And that also, like, after you move from, say, 1, 2 clients, 3 clients, and the number of clients increases. So how then you're a one-man army. So how do you, like, do you have any tips on how you can manage multiple clients for someone who's in the growth stage?
Most importantly, self-realization whether you can take this up or not. So until unless you realize that, okay, fine, I want to be a one-man nanny, I can take up all clients by myself, uh, you are not going to lead anywhere. I mean, you definitely, there's some level of gap that is going to come, I mean, that you're going to come across during the execution of the project. So that's where some level of entrepreneurship role comes into play here. So freelancing,
Okay.
there's a gray line. I don't consider a freelancer a full-time entrepreneur, but there's a bit of entrepreneurship involved because there's risk now. So once you're in the growth stage, you know that you have to uh, be into that profession. You have to realize that, okay, fine, I'm passionately driven towards this profession, and this is going to be my career. So that's where you take that choice, right? There's a bit of risk that comes into play in the growth stage, and that's where you need to bring in the smartest people to execute things for you. You be the face.
At some point, it has
Yeah,
to be a group
yeah,
of people
yeah.
working together, not
That's
just
where
one man army.
that's where your networking skills comes into play. 3 years you have been so much active on LinkedIn, you have like 10,000 followers. Now, if you just put up a text message saying that, okay, fine, guys, I'm building my team. You get to work with crazy clients. Why don't you join me? You see the number of comments you get, right? So that's where your networking skills would come into play. So I feel that it's a very evolving and gradual process. You need to be patient. That's where entrepreneurship skills come into play in the growth stage.
Okay. Okay. You said LinkedIn is a strong tool for building a network. Is there any other tool other
No,
than
I'm talking
LinkedIn?
with respect to the profession, right? So
Hmm.
if you are into content, LinkedIn is the place. If you're into growth marketing, if you're into performance marketer, if you're a performance marketer, LinkedIn is the place. If you're into SEO, right? So where you take charge of growing the company to us, you have a niche skill. Like if you're an SEO expert, you can drive traffic to, let's say, a client's website. So it's a very niche kind of role, right? So that
Yeah.
LinkedIn is kind of very effective. But let's say if you're into more creative sort of profile, like a photographer, right, or a designer, right? Then what sort of platforms come into play? The first platform that comes into play, if you are a designer, is Behance.
Hmm.
Build a kick-ass profile on Behance. ensure that you keep the Behance profile up to date. One of our vetted techniques, one of our vetted, process involves, while hiring a freelance designer, is go check out the Behance profile in and out. Right? We do that, and a lot of businesses do that. If you're a photographer, if you're a videographer, be active, super active on Instagram. I'll give you an example of a wedding photographer based out of Pune. You won't believe that they're a team of, they were a team of 2 or 3 with wedding, cinematographers, photographers, right? Now, they had good business, but they wanted to scale pan India. So there was one person in that team who loved talking about this profession, what sort of camera you have to use, uh, what sort of clients you will come across, how do you deal if you are in a bad situation, how do you operate a drone. So he genuinely loves that profession, and he wants people to know more about this business, right? So if you're genuinely passionate about something, so he started making reels, and you won't believe that his reels are now crossing 1 lakh views. So that's where he's utilizing that platform. That's where you want. That's where he is, right? Now, if I'm a potential customer, if I come across his profile to an ad, right? Then I see his entire gallery. Then awesome. I mean, yeah, I'm already sold. So platform is going to definitely play a big role here. So it depends. You need to realize as to which platform is going to help you out.
Okay, okay. One is building brands and credibility and show your expertise on different platforms. Uh, do communities help? I feel like this is a growing trend or a buzzword.
Of course.
Even the community like TCC, which is like exclusive to content. Do
Correct.
these communities help in any way? Do you see a trend there increasing
Content.
networking through these
Correct. And that's
communities?
a very good question, and that's where things are going to evolve in future, right? The freelance community, I mean, is in some form of a content creator community, but you don't become a content creator once you start. You become a content creator once you have reached a stage, right? Like if you are a content writer who is highly skilled into technical writing, now you want to grow your audience, right? You have to talk about basically technical stuff, right? So there you explore community driven platforms, like if I were to give an example of your community, right? Your community basically involves what? Designers and content writers, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
all kinds of content creators.
Yeah. And what are we doing now? We are sharing knowledge, right? So this is part and parcel. This is where content creation comes into play, right? If let's say tomorrow you feature a content writer who is extremely good with a sector or some kind of profession, so you bring a content writer who eventually becomes a content creator 5 years down the line, because knowledge sharing is a part and parcel of this entire uh, journey. So to certain level, I would say that every freelancer is a content creator, but yes, content creation is a different ballgame altogether. There you don't have projects. There you generate content, right?
Yeah.
Like if you talk about Nas Daily, he's a content creator. He runs a content creation business. But if you
Yeah, user
yeah,
generated
but if you see
content.
his first 10 videos, he's sharing knowledge. He's sharing his expertise. That's where he evolved himself into a content creator. And that's where freelancing, is somewhere, there's a gray line, but there's a synergy here.
Both help each other. Both, yeah. So we spoke about beginning freelancing and growing. Now, in the growth stage, say you're 1 or 2 years into freelancing, you've been like, so you figured out the market, and you want to rethink your services or your pricing. So where does that coming, and how do you, like, you feel like you can increase your, you've gotten your expertise. Now you want to increase your pricing, or spread out into different services, sort of level up. So how does one do that? Where does one do that? Or how does one identify that now it's time to increase the pricing or level up your game?
Hatim, you want to take this?
Sure, sure. So we are talking about leveling up here, correct? And
Yeah.
post say 2 years down the line when you've identified.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing is to level up. It is very important to keep enhancing your skills. Okay, you cannot say I will offer the same service with the same scope and tell my clients to pay me higher. Okay, create some value addition. Be constantly a learning person. Like, even if you're in a job, if you want to achieve a promotion, if you want to take a promotion, you go, you learn yourself, you take up new courses, okay, which will justify your promotions. Okay, so the same way here is, first focus on, look 3 years down the line, okay, and see where the market is gonna go 3 years down the line or 5 years down the line, okay, and enhance your skills there. All right. For example, again, pre-COVID scenario, okay, we used to get multiple projects wherein individual sellers, e-commerce sellers, okay, would require product photographers from us, and there was a huge demand for that, okay, and volume-based demand, uh, good enough to probably take up to 15,000 product shoots a month, 20,000 product shoots a month. That was the quantum pre-COVID. Okay, with AI coming into picture, with technology coming into picture, with smartphone accessibility to smartphone smartphones being so accessible, anybody is now becoming a product photographer. All they have to do is take a picture with your bare phone camera, and the software is gonna adopt it into the platforms that you want. So in like 2 years, the demand of product photographers have gone down. In that case, what if you were in that picture 2 years down the line, 2 years back? Okay, how you could do, either opt for going into cataloging shoots, okay, where you skill yourself on how to style a product, okay, how to get into mood shots, etc. Okay, that's one way. The other way that came into picture was 360 degrees. Okay, now a lot of marketplaces now have 360 shoot for the product, so the photographers can start building their skills into 360-degree shoot. It is nothing but an extended version of the photography. So that's how you enhance your skills. Okay, second thing what you do is try and upsell your products. For example, you are writing a content for a startup. Say, for example, it's Pritesh and we have a startup, Talent, and you pitch us that, hey, Hatim, I am gonna take care of your content on social media. And this is what my retainer fees are. Well and good. Things are going smooth. We are liking your work. 6 months, we are getting the expected results. Okay. Now you go back to Hatim, tell Hatim, hey man, your talent is giving you response through social media content. Why don't you start building your brand on probably LinkedIn, something like that? Okay, so then you sell your services, wherein you sell your personal branding services, where you do ghostwriting on behalf of Hatim, or you write blogs. So upselling. Don't try to sell the same service, same product for a higher price after 6 months down the line. give them something more, offer them, and then charge a premium for that. So that's how I feel is the uh, roadmap you should take for, you know, probably earning more out of your experience that you've gained. Cross sell,
Correct.
high, sell higher, and improve your skills, enhance your skills.
Okay, okay. That's a great insight. Cross sell and upsell your services instead of directly uh, upping your price. Uh, I think we have a couple more questions that we need to cover. So one is, I see a lot of people. So the competition has increased because, as you said, number of people getting into freelancing has increased. So obviously, at some point, you have to think about competition. It's not just about getting into freelancing and starting a business. So at some point, you will be at crossroads and you have to decide whether you have to go niche or stay broad. From a competitive advantage, what do you think, first of all, is one better than the other? If yes, then which is? How does one decide that this is right for me?
All right. So let us break this question down into two. Okay. One thing is you've asked about competition. How you excel yourself over your competition. Okay. And the second question that I gauge out of this is whether you want to go niche or you want to stay broad. Okay.
Correct.
So let's
Yeah.
let's let's take up a competition part. Okay. This is freelancing market. Okay, everybody is independent. Also, if you realize of lately, the same kind of service that you would offer is being offered by some other person at probably half the price. Okay,
Correct.
understand half the price is coming either because he is not able to crack clients, and due to the frustration of that, he is thinking lowering my pricing would be the best way to gain clients. Okay, so so never worry about, I keep telling all the freelancers that I meet, okay, never worry about your competition stating he's charging lesser for the same service and he is spoiling the market. Instead, look at a better point of view. If a person is charging lower, it is but obvious that his skills are not to the mark. Okay, and if he is able to convert a client just on the basis of low cheap labor, okay, the client is never going to be satisfied with the output of his. That means if not today, tomorrow he is creating more value for your services. Okay, so never reduce your price if you don't get clients is the motto in freelancing market. If you are confident enough about your skills. Point one, never worry about the competition who are selling your services at a cheaper price. Okay, now again, to answer this, there are two types of clients. Okay, one that focuses on cheap services and one that focuses on quality services. Okay, now a cheap service guy will never come to you, take it for sure. If you have that expertise and if you're charging premium for your expertise, okay, he's never gonna come to you because he does not have the importance of the quality work. Okay, and he's happy with whatever kind of content he's getting or whatever kind of output he's getting from a freelancing because it is saving his pockets. Fine. The other person is who is focused more on quality driven output. Okay, for him,
Yeah.
even if he tries and adopts or tries and gets the work done from a cheap labor, he is going to understand that he's not solving his purpose. But paying an XYZ amount premium is a great thing. I will give you a real time example that I faced a couple of months back with a client of ours. Okay, apparently the client was really close to us. Okay, he wanted to build a website. Okay, not very fancy, but something into real estate website. Okay, uh, and all he had to tell us is, "Hey Hatim, this is just for the namesake. I just want to have it on the picture, so I want a website. I don't want to spend much." And he was not satisfied with the work because he is wanting a quality work, okay, but he does not have the importance of the website. But back of the mind, he's not satisfied by the work that a freelancer who is not that expertise, expert in the field has done it. Okay, ultimately he spent some amount, he wasted that amount putting it into a freelancer that is not skilled, and then paying extra premium to other freelancer to give him the kind of output he wanted. Ultimately what happened is he's paid more than what he was supposed to. Plus, on top of that, he had a loss of all the efforts, time, energy that he invested on the other freelancing. Okay, so never worry about the competition. Okay, be happy if there's more competition, there is more market demand, and you get more business. Okay, second thing is go niche or be look into broader concept. Okay, I would say market is open for both. When I say broad, I talk about more into volume centric stuff. Okay, say a project would, there are two types of projects wherein a project would have volume with lesser margin. Other project would not have volume but a higher margin. Okay, there is demand for both. There is demand for volume centric projects also, and for niche centric project also. You have to identify your skills, whether you feel that you are capable to manage team of 20 people and take up volume projects. Go for it. End of the day, you're gonna make same amount of money that a niche project would also make. But if you think I am more of a solopreneur, I do not want to get into managing 10 different team members, 20 different team members, but I will write a piece of content that is the best, and I would charge say $100,000 for that. Say for example $100 for that. Or on the other end, I will write 10 different piece of content of $10 each. Ultimately, you're making the same amount of money. The efforts, you have to understand where you are good at. Are you good at managing team and taking multiple projects, or you are good at just taking one project and giving your 100% in scaling that project up? So answer
makes a
is
lot of sense.
personal. You have to self introspect.
Preference. Yeah. We have one question from Shiba. Any platforms to bag international assignments? She says she's looked at Upwork but never found relevant work. So if I put it right, then is there any platforms that you can suggest for international projects or clients?
Okay, see Shiba, what I understand from your question is you are into a niche market. Okay, and you are very particular about the clients that you want to work with. Okay, that's the reason you're not able to find the kind of work on Flex or Upwork. Okay, these platforms will give you a launching pad. Okay, will give you clients, will give you kind of clients where you can assess yourself, understand yourself, you know s- get some expertise out of freelancing. But the kind of clients that you are targeting is through networking on LinkedIn. Okay, the same kind of answer that Pritesh has given. Keep interacting, participate in many networking sessions. Okay, participate in discussion forums. That's when you will start slowly building your niche there. Say you will have to understand what kind of service you want to talk about. Okay, and be part of that. Give some value addition. Okay, right, give a statement that 10 people would want to read about it and know more about it. That's when you start catching eyeballs, and then you start getting clients. But if you are niche, if you're very particular about the kind of work and the kind of clients you want, these platforms will not suffice. You will have to network yourself.
Hope that answered your question, Shiba. I know we crossed the time that we had dedicated for this, but if we have any other questions, last few questions, you can share that in the chat. Shiba has one more question. How much time should we absorb with no work and then give up freelancing to move back to a corporate role?
Okay.
It's a little confusing. What are you trying to
No,
ask here,
I
Shiva?
understand. I understand. So basically,
Okay.
she's trying to sail in a safe boat. Okay, wherein how much time she should give it to freelancing and see whether she is able to take it up or get back to corporate work if you're
Full
not able
time.
to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. See, what I would suggest is if you're not sure whether you're gonna crack the code of freelancing, then invest your weekends into freelancing. Okay, invest in assisting clients, not into monetary purpose but value creating purpose. Okay, you come across a friend who wants, say you are into, did you say which genre you are into or which field are you into?
Operations and supply chain.
Okay, say you have a friend who is just wanting to start an e-commerce portal, e-commerce platform. Okay, consult him or her, talk to him or her. Okay, and create such clients, meet such clients and create some value addition. Do not take it as monetary benefits from that particular project, just as a networking kind of a opportunity. You start interacting with such people, consult them, help them. Okay, gradually, say 6 months down the line, a year down the line, when you do this continuously, you will start getting projects. Okay, understand what kind of projects you want. Okay, and then start taking these projects up on the monetary purpose. Okay, and that's when you will not have that saturation point where you would want to give up freelancing and go back to the corporate role, because by the time you are full time into freelancing, you have created enough network. You've created enough network in the market that will help you give regular flow of businesses. So don't just jump into freelancing and then say, hey man, 2 years हो गया, मुझे कोई काम नहीं मिला, मैं वापस corporate में जा रही हूँ. That's not how the approach should be.
Okay. We don't have any more questions, I think. I think that's it for this session. Thank you, Hatim and Pritesh. I think we all have something or the other to take back from this session. Do you have any links or anything that you can share on the chat for people to reach out to you if they need anything or sign up with Talnt?
Yes, definitely. Pritesh, you can just float in the link. But moreover, if you guys want any advice, any suggestions, help with regards to freelancing, you guys can surely reach out to us on our LinkedIn. Okay, we are more than happy to assist you, and trust us, we will. We do not mind answering your whatsoever questions are. We would be more than happy to answer all your questions. Okay, you can definitely connect with us on LinkedIn. We are always there for you to help.
Great. So thank you everyone for coming in. We had a great session. Thank you for joining on a Saturday morning. And that's it for today. We'll see you at the next meet.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Bhumika. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah, same to you.